On a chilly spring evening in 2011, the city of Flagstaff, Arizona, was alive with anticipation. Hundreds of people gathered at Northern Arizona University's auditorium to hear prominent community leader Robert Hayes deliver a lecture on community and civic responsibility. Hayes was no stranger to the spotlight. He was outspoken, passionate, and a firm believer that words could heal divided communities. But as the crowd filed out into the night, no one could predict that Hayes' final words would be spoken. At exactly 9:12 p.m., a single shot rang out across campus. Chaos erupted. Screams echoed as people scattered, ducking for cover. Hayes collapsed on the concrete steps outside the building, struck fatally in the chest by a sniper's bullet. Witnesses looked toward the rooftops just in time to see a shadowy figure sprinting away. The gunman vanished into the tree line, leaving behind fear, confusion, and the spark of one of the largest manhunts in recent Arizona history. Hayes' murder wasn't random. Investigators quickly realized the shooter had planned the attack meticulously. A vantage point from the rooftop, an escape route into nearby woods, and no shell casings left behind. Surveillance cameras captured only fleeting images. A tall young man in dark hoodie and jeans, his face obscured by a baseball cap. Within hours, local police and federal authorities were working together. Roadblocks were set up. Helicopters combed. FBI issued a nationwide alert. The urgency was clear. This was not only a targeted killing, but potentially the beginning of something bigger. If the gunman wasn't found, he could strike again. The case gripped the nation. News outlets across the country broadcast the grainy security footage of the suspect. The image of the shadowy figure leaping from the rooftop replayed endlessly on screens. A $100,000 reward was announced, and tips flooded into hotlines. Over 15,000 leads were logged within the first week. Everything from neighbors claiming they'd seen the suspect at a gas station to hikers insisting they'd spotted him in the woods. But every lead ended the same way. Dead end. The longer the suspect evaded capture, the more the community's fear deepened. Parents pulled their children out of classes. Events were canceled, and the media fueled speculation. Was this an act of political revenge, a lone wolf radical, or something even darker? 3 counties away, quiet. The mother sat watching the footage played again. A blurry outline of a man in a dark hoodie sprinting across a rooftop. For most viewers, it was just another clip in a tragic story. But for her, it felt like a punch to the stomach. The way he moved, the shape of the shoulders, even the baseball cap. It all looked painfully familiar. She turned the volume down and whispered to herself, "That looks like Jason." Jason Miller was her 21-year-old son, once a promising student. He had dropped out of college a year before. Recently, he'd grown withdrawn, irritable, and secretive. She had chalked it up to the struggles of early adulthood. But now, watching footage on live television, her heart raced with a dreadful suspicion she couldn't ignore. When she confronted him later that night, Jason's reaction was telling. He froze, then muttered, "Don't ask me that. You don't want to know." For hours, the mother wrestled with her conscience, turning in her son's blood like a treasure. He remained silent and protecting the killer. As the days passed, Jason's behavior only grew more erratic. He locked himself in his room, whispered on late-night phone calls, and left the house for hours without explanation. The tipping point came when she found a duffel bag hidden in the garage. Inside, a rifle, black clothing, and a pair of mud-stained boots. It was all too real. With trembling hands, she picked up the phone and called a family friend who worked with local law enforcement. The message was simple but devastating. "I think my son is the man you're looking for." Authorities acted swiftly. Within 48 hours, Jason was tracked to a friend's apartment in Prescott, Arizona. FBI agents surrounded the building. The standoff was brief. Jason surrendered quietly, almost with relief, as if the weight of his secret had grown unbearable. The arrest sent shockwaves through the country. For weeks, people feared an unknown, faceless predator lurking in the shadows. Now, the truth was even more unsettling. The killer wasn't an international terrorist or a trained hitman. It was a troubled young man from a suburban family, exposed by his own mother. During his trial, Jason's defense argued that he was motivated not by hatred of Hayes personally, but by a warped sense of ideology. In journals recovered from the bedroom, he had written about feeling invisible, powerless, and desperate to make a statement. His attack on Hayes was meant to be symbolic, but instead, it became his undoing. Prosecutors painted him as cold and calculating, highlighting how he'd scouted the rooftop days before and practiced with rifle areas. The jury deliberated only 6 hours before finding him guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life without parole. The true tragedy, however, went beyond the courtroom. Hayes' family mourned the loss of a beloved father and mentor, but Jason's family was also shattered. His mother, once prayed for grace, lived a lifelong child. I saved others from him, she said tearfully, but I lost my son forever. The case became a haunting reminder of the fine line between justice and heartbreak. It also